What was the ballpark range that you paid for your one-bedroom place in BGC?
Dollars?
In dollars. Not cheap by any means. Yeah.
Actually, I want to say it is pretty cheap. I would say it is pretty cheap compared to a house in California. The whole documentation and having to have the prerequisite, it's kind of challenging. It's kind of hard for me since I'm not a Filipino citizen. For me, I'm considered as balikbayan. Like for me, the biggest thing is like
connection.
What's up, Savvy Expat? Today I have another special guest with us for the podcast. Michael, it's a pleasure to have you on, man.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
All right. So just a little backstory, like how we met. You've been watching the channel for how long now?
For about 6 months to a year. Maybe more than that.
Okay.
More than that.
Right. And what actually struck me about you and what's interesting to me is that we actually live in the same building.
Right.
Now, I wouldn't say like which building.
Right.
Yeah, but so you bought a condo in BGC.
Yes, I did.
You bought a condo in BGC. And so what originally attracted you to BGC?
So back in was 2016, first time visiting BGC. I heard it from a friend, from a coworker. They would keep saying like, oh, the Fort Bonifacio, the Fort, this and that.
Around what time was this? Like you guys were talking about BGC?
So it was 2010, maybe 2010, about that time. So I guess during that time it was a big party scene, and it still is. It still is the big party scene over here. And he kept on talking about it. I was just like, okay, cool. Yeah. And then time passed by, 2016. And I'm like, okay, I might want to check this place out. Yeah, I just want to see what's going on over there, in this area. So I got a hotel, one of the hotels over here. I forgot what the name of it, but first time, and it was like around midnight.
Okay.
Just went out for a walk and wanted to see like what's out there, and maybe I could get some Jollibee or some McDonald's because I was hungry during that time. Yeah. Right. And I was just walking around. I was like, oh, this place is pretty amazing. It's safe. I felt safe.
Yeah.
Right. And one thing that stood out the most for me was the pedestrian. Like there's a big walk space. Like this just the space was just like Yeah.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah, it was just like, I like it.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay.
And I think that's like one of the main things we first bonded about is just like how much we like having BGC as our home base.
Right.
But I didn't actually dig into a little bit about your story. So let's hear a little bit about like where you were raised first. And then, about your life leading up.
Okay. All right. So I was born and spent my first 12 years here in the Philippines, mostly in Mindanao, province area, and then I moved to California in 2000. Spring 2000. Okay. So I moved there, and pretty much I lived most of my life over there in California. In California, yeah.
And then, what do you do for work?
IT.
Work
with computers, fix computers, just simple, ordinary computer stuff like that.
And we were talking about how you work for IT and your company transferred you, right? Where did you get transferred over to?
Like as far as like the location?
Location-wise, yeah.
Yeah, so Middle East. Yeah, okay. So I pretty much got transferred one of the countries in the Middle East. I can't say where. So, but I got transferred over, and I'm going to be working pretty much over there. Nice. And prior to me going over there to get transferred, I was working over there since 2016.
Now, what's going through my thought process is that you left the Philippines at a very young age.
Right.
Moved to California.
Right.
And then now you're in the Middle East.
Right.
So it's been a while since you've been back in the homeland back
Exactly.
in the Philippines.
Yeah.
What was in your mind that like clicked for you that like, oh, I want to go back home and experience life here again?
There's a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
walk us through that.
Other than the cost of living in the United States, that was the number one for sure thing.
Okay.
It was just, it's just so expensive, man.
Right. Oh, for sure.
California alone is like one of the most, if not the most expensive state to live. Cost of living over there is just like through the roof and beyond. And I was looking at it back in 2015 when I was still living in California, and it was just like I saw it from a mile away that it's gonna go through this, like it's gonna go down this route.
Right.
It was just like, okay, yeah, I think it's better to move outside of California, outside of the States, and explore my options.
Right.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah.
And I think that was the number one for me, the cost of living.
Yeah.
Now, don't get me wrong, my family and friends are still living there. I don't know how they're able to afford it. Hey, I think it's beyond me, but like for me, I'm just like, okay, let me explore other places.
Yeah,
and spots.
You're not alone on that, because even my family, being from Chicago, it's not cheap over there either. So countless expats, one of the main reasons we leave is just because costs are going through the roof, inflation, gas prices, food, everything. So we come here to the Philippines, and you look around at BGC, such a beautiful city.
It is.
And you're spending almost twice as less, sometimes even more, to live in the nice city in the Philippines.
Right.
Compared to Cali. Now that leads me to my next question is, can you break down your cost of living in Cali versus in the Philippines?
So I have a house in California, right? And I got it when it was like after the housing crisis back in 2008, 2011. So it was during that time when I got it. So my mortgage is pretty low, way lower than the average individual that's only renting in California.
Right.
So it's like quadruple. Even though I pay very low mortgage in California, there's that aspect of the cost of living, the groceries, the insurance, the monthly bills and all that stuff.
Right.
Pretty high. So I would say my experience here in BGC, living here in the Philippines in BGC, I think it's twice as cheaper.
Wow.
So let me elaborate on that.
Yeah.
McDonald's. McDonald's in California, McDonald's in BGC. So I was talking to my wife about this a couple of times. The amount of food that my wife and I purchased in McDonald's is like twice as cheaper as it is in California. So I got a Big Mac. She got a Big Mac. One of those like ice cream flurry or something.
Yeah,
right. McFlurry, which works. The ice cream machine works here in BGC. So compared to in the States, we're like, it's not working. You can't purchase that. Yeah, it's not working. So here we got the 2 large Big Mac meal, then McFlurry, and then some chicken nuggets on the side. That right there is like less than $20.
Oh, easily. Yeah.
Easy. Too easy. Less than $20. And that's not without a tip for the delivery guy. Now compared to the United States, you're gonna be spending like twice as that.
Yeah.
As much.
Yeah, easily. I mean, not only that though, something I noticed about fast food in the Philippines is it actually tastes better here.
Yeah.
Something I noticed about that, McDonald's for example. Yeah. It's like less processed in a way, a little bit more fresh.
Right.
So I found even fast food here tastes better.
Yeah.
But that's just one example of how much more affordable it is in the Philippines than back in the States. Yeah. You stayed here in the Philippines for how long so far? Because you're not here permanently.
No. So I'm just here, every 4 to 6 months. 6 months. I spend a couple of weeks over here, and if I'm lucky enough, I get to spend longer. For example, like this time around, I spent about almost 3 weeks. Lucky enough to spend much time over here.
So you're going back and forth between Middle East and Philippines.
Yes.
So in your time here in the Philippines, can you give us like a ballpark estimate of how much you spend in BGC per month?
Per month? Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna have to think about that, like for because whenever I'm on vacation, I pretty much don't look at yeah, I just don't look at that. And so let's just say that I spent about less than $50 per day,
Less than $50
for food.
Okay.
That's for food. And transportation, I would spend about less than $10. Less than $15.
Yeah, for sure. BGC is like a walking type of city. Everything's within distance.
And when I say that about like transportation, spending money on transportation, is that from BGC to Valenzuela or Caloocan is like about an hour and a half, maybe, like far away from BGC. Yeah, so it's very cheap, man. Yeah. It's very cheap.
Very affordable to live here.
Affordable.
Yeah. So what struck me about like hearing your story and everything is that like you spent most of your time outside of the Philippines of your life.
Yes.
And when I look at other expats moving to the Philippines, they typically rent.
Right.
But you decided to buy in BGC. You bought a condo here.
Yeah.
A 1-bedroom, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So it shows me like you really wanted to live in the city. Yeah.
And it's because I wanted to, like, that first experience of me visiting BGC, being here, I just like, it got me like, okay, I want to buy something here. I want to buy something with my name on it. And for me, it's just like, cool. I'm just gonna do it. Yeah. It didn't happen like, maybe a decade later, but throughout that time, it's still in the back of my head. I'm like, I want it. I want it. I want it. So I did it.
Nice.
Yeah.
And how has your experience been buying in the Philippines?
So far, the whole documentation and, having to have the prerequisite, it's kind of challenging. Challenging for me because it's a new experience. It's the same type of process, but different experience compared to buying a mortgage, like having a mortgage in the States. Right. For example, here in BGC or here in the Philippines, I need to have like a proof of identification, of course. Right. It's kind of hard for me since I'm not a Filipino citizen.
Oh, you're still an American citizen.
I'm still an American citizen. Right. I don't have like an American passport. And okay, sometimes they do give a leeway type of like relax on it for Filipinos. For me, I'm considered as balikbayan. Yeah. Yeah, since I, lived here the first 12 years. So there's that. So identification was a big thing. Banking was the second thing. My experience with banking was like, okay, it's kind of slow. It's a slow process over here in the Philippines. Right. So you gotta be really patient, and you gotta be really patient to deal with the banking over here. I guess it has a lot of things to do with prior like scamming and stuff. There's big
just
on
things
that.
to watch out for.
Right, things to watch out for. Yeah.
I mean, you talked about like how you have to be patient here in the Philippines.
Yeah.
And obviously you spent majority of your time outside of the Philippines in a Western society. Even though we're Filipino, I think we can both agree that there's certain things that frustrate us about being in the Philippines, yeah?
I do.
So what would you say those things are for you that you've come across?
Oh, like for me, the biggest thing is like not moving with a purpose. Not moving with a purpose. It's like, hey man, I kind of need you to like move with a purpose. Yeah. Regardless if it's like getting your documents done, getting the information of what prerequisite of documents needed in order for me to get that, or just walking on the sidewalk, or being in the queue or in the line of cashier checkout. Right. I have so many experience. Yeah. And it is just like, you gotta be like really patient. You gotta be really patient. Sure. It's like that's the number one thing. It's like not moving with a purpose. Oh yeah. And for me, I'm used to like move with a purpose. Like get there. Right. Get it done. Let's focus on a task. and just get it done.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think sometimes I get a little bit of like backlash because some people think I'm bashing the Philippines.
No.
But I think when we talk about these kind of things, it's the reality that almost whether you're a balikbayan, whether you're someone who spent a lot of time in the US, or you're just you're playing out from the US, born and raised there, you're gonna experience these kind of things where you're like, okay, I have to be patient.
Yeah.
Lifestyle here is a lot slower.
Exactly.
Mindset here is very different.
Right.
People get offended at smaller things.
Yeah.
But if you're in Chicago, if you're in California, these are just normal things that normal way of talking.
Right.
These are the little things I've noticed a lot of expats need to be weary of when coming here.
Right.
For example, you're a straightforward kind of guy.
Right.
I'm sure there's times where you're talking to a local and they may see you as coming across a little bit too offensive in their eyes, but in California, that's just your normal way of talking.
Exactly.
So little things like that. But the biggest thing that resonated with me is, moving with a purpose. Because here, there's times where you're walking on the sidewalk and people are just like either just on their phones or they're blocking the exit and entrance.
Yeah.
And in the US, that would be common courtesy. But here, they wouldn't know that, like, oh, I'm blocking the entrance so people can't exit.
Right.
Stuff like that, is
there's
always something we talk about.
There's so many examples.
Yeah.
Like even yesterday.
Yeah,
man, it was just bad because it was my wife. Had experienced a group of people. It was just blocking the pathway, and my wife just I just want to go over there.
Yeah,
hey, please move.
Yeah,
like take your food or whatever it is that you're consuming. Just move to the side, please.
Yeah,
just move to the side because you're kind of blocking. You're kind of like a safety hazard here.
Yeah, so patience is one thing, and then I think another thing I noticed was lines here. Sometimes people don't always like do lines, like sometimes you'll find people cut in line, or they're kind of like squeeze their way in. But like I noticed like in the US in Chicago, if you cut in line, that's
you get called out.
Yeah,
you're gonna get called out.
Somebody's gonna say something.
Someone's definitely gonna say something, and you get to the point now it's like you get into a fist fight. You get into a physical altercation. It's different. And I tell a lot of expats, like, just be patient. Just be patient over here. If you're gonna visit the Philippines, be patient, because it's not the way how it is in back in where you're coming from.
Absolutely.
And regardless if it's like in a Western state or a Western country or some other country too, is just be patient over here.
I think the biggest thing is having an open mind when coming here, because it's so easy to have that mindset like in the US this would be done within 20 minutes. Why is it taking 3 days here? But you kind of just have to have an open mind and understand that the way that people move here is different. It's different, and you're gonna have to get used to it, or you do it yourself. That's the main thing I found here in the Philippines.
It's funny that when you say that you get bashed a lot because of you have a different way of thinking and the way how you acting or operating on your daily basis, or just for whatever it is. It's like the thing is that the people that are bashing, they only know about that part. They only know about that part. As for us and for some of the people, we've been to Australia. We've been to the Middle East. We know how others operate, and we get to experience how the Philippines operate. A lot of people that pretty much say like, oh, bashing, all that kind of stuff, they don't really know. And it's not that we're bashing the Philippines or the Filipino culture. It's a different experience. It's just the way it is. It's just a different experience.
It's naive to say that we shouldn't disclose these things or talk about these things, because every foreigner or expat that's grown up in a different type of environment is going to experience their patience being tested. Or like just the way that things move here is a little bit more slow, less timely. stuff like that, little things like that.
Oh yeah.
And that leads me to my next question: is like, is there a difference that you've noticed with Filipino Americans and growing up as like a Filipino American versus local Filipinos? Any differences in culture, mindset, even when it comes to conversing? Like, what's the difference between the two cultures you notice?
Okay, so I'm drawing kind of blank when it comes to this kind of questions because there's a lot.
Yeah.
But there's a lot to it. One thing that does stand out to me the most is that when you're Filipino American or Filipino Canadian or Western Filipino that grew up in a Western country, the Filipinos that that lived over here and pretty much grew up over here will look at us as far as we grew up in a Western country as like mayabang, or like there's like, oh, you're just a privileged guy.
Yeah.
A privileged guy.
Exactly.
I'm like, yeah, I'm not privileged. Like, I grew up in the hood. Like, I am not privileged. Like, so a lot. Yeah, there's that. There's that one thing that stands out the most.
Yeah.
Yeah. They may say like the Filipinos that are over here. They may say like, oh, you're very picky on eating food because you're not eating dried fish or anything like that, or balot, or right. Like for me, like yeah, I don't really eat balot. Like for me, it's not because it's a high cholesterol food, and I'm not trying to like go over my cholesterol because my family has that.
Yeah.
The history. So there's that, and this goes back to what I said earlier about there's that world that we get to experience in the US or Canada or Australia, anywhere as a Filipino. There's that part that the others don't know. And when I say others, like the Filipino that lived here.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, when it comes to like the differences, I notice even being Filipino, like fully by blood, and you come here to the Philippines, because we're raised in the US, there is gonna be inevitably a divide between trying to connect with the locals, just our background, the way we converse, the jokes that we make. It's just not gonna be fully aligned there.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is, when I first moved here, I didn't like the first 2 years of my life in the Philippines, just because there is gonna be that divide between connecting with the locals here. Yeah. Have you experienced any of that, or
I have actually experienced that. Also, at the same time, like with my background, first lived here, first 12 years. When I moved to the US, I still have that connection of that Philippine culture, not Filipino culture, but Philippine culture. Like, for example, the language, the jokes, the communication. So I still had that in me. In my household, my parents, we speak Bisaya. Like my parents want us to speak Bisaya.
Where's your family originally from?
From Mindanao.
From Mindanao.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so pretty much in our household, we speak Bisaya. We rarely get to speak Tagalog. It is only around outside of our household in a Filipino community where we get to speak Tagalog and stuff.
Right.
And watching TFC.
TFC.
Yeah, pretty much.
Wow.
Yeah, pretty much, man. So the Filipino telenovelas. Yeah, you're just watching that. But there's that aspect. So I still have that relatable aspect to the Philippine culture, but at the same time, I do have that experience with a lot of
Western culture.
The Western culture.
Yeah,
I would say I have to build a bridge. Gotta build a bridge.
Yeah, for sure.
Gotta build a bridge of like that thing, but it's not as bad as it used to, I guess.
Yeah,
because now there's a lot of Filipinos over here, Philippines, that are more westernized.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing that I always keep in mind is that like it's my job to connect, right? Because they're not gonna adjust to me, and I don't expect them to. The locals of the Philippines to adjust to me. So I try my best to speak as much Tagalog as I already know. All the time. But yeah, like I think that's one thing to keep in mind because we have a lot of Filipino American viewers on the channel. Like it's our job to make that connection.
Yes.
It's not always the easiest because I feel like sometimes locals will connect with, let's say, just a Caucasian foreigner a lot faster than their own fellow, like Filipino, but raised in the US, a Filipino American.
That's another subject.
Yeah.
That's another subject to talk about. That's another subject.
Absolutely,
to talk
because
about,
like
yeah.
we, the nice thing, I think the nice thing that a lot of white guys have going for them when they move to the Philippines from the US or from Europe or whatever is that it's nice that I think it's nice for them, they get like this sort of infatuation from the locals. So like there's immediately that like, oh, you're in my country, like I'm welcoming to you and whatnot. But then when I see how I was treated when I first arrived here, before I learned Tagalog, was that they would, I don't know, they kind of would mean mug me in a way because they're just like, you're Filipino, but you don't speak Tagalog. You don't make any sense.
Yeah.
Of course, I learned Tagalog.
Yeah.
I did my part there.
Yeah.
But yeah, in the beginning, it was like, you know, I get treated differently. And I'm like, why is, you know, foreigners getting treated so much better than I am? And why is my people treating me like this?
Yeah, I think it has a lot of things to do about like you're Filipino and you're expected to speak the language.
Yeah. And I think also another thing that has to do with is class. Like class is so it's so emphasized in the Philippines.
Are you talking about the financial classes?
Financial class.
Yes, yes.
I have friends also from Northern California like yourself who are full Filipino. They're raised in the US. And they tell me when they come to BGC even, one friend told me specifically they went to Carry Sports Shangri-La here in BGC. And because she's from the US, right? Filipino American. She is speaking Tagalog to the front desk of Carry Sports to get in a day pass. And they told her that she had to leave.
What?
They told her that she had to leave because she felt like because she was speaking the language that they kind of brushed her off like, oh, you can't afford it here. So it's like, it's kind of confusing.
Man.
Like, sometimes in the culture, you're expected to speak Tagalog, but when you do speak Tagalog, you're treated as if like you don't have you're low class or something like that.
Right.
So yeah.
There's that aspect too.
Yeah.
There's that. Yeah, that's another subject too.
Yeah. Financial class is very emphasized here.
It really is. Yeah. It really is because I don't know how to say this because of the classism of the whole like financial classism and stuff. Like, oh, your friend, pretty much got the pretty bad outcome of that.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but going back to you and your experience buying a condo in BGC, what are like some of the main differences being in the Philippines that you noticed versus California?
When it comes to buying properties,
when it comes to just your lifestyle in general, how is like safety for you? How is we talked about cost of living, everything regarding your lifestyle. So
my safe. Okay, let's talk about security first. Safety, very safe over here in BGC. I feel really safe over here. If I walk in the middle of the night, midnight, just to go to the store, buy some bottled water or something like that, I feel safe.
Yeah,
I feel like I can just walk there. In the States, it's a different story. You go to the corner store. First of all, the corner store, it's man. The corner store over there is just like you don't want to go there.
You don't know what to expect.
Yeah, you just don't know. So that feeling of, okay, I'm safe. I would say BGC here is a lot more safer than being over there in the States. Cost of living is like half living in BGC. Even though BGC is like to the Filipinos over here are like, they find out like, oh, you live in BGC? Like, oh my God, you got so like, but like for us, a lot of expats and people that live in the US, like for us, this is amazing. Like it's cheaper, safer.
Yeah,
like it's amazing. But okay, so for me to say that, I don't mean to pretty much disregard of like if you just go over the bridge, you just like
Oh yeah, absolutely.
if you live in Condo, it's just like
Yeah.
I'm not disregarding that, but it is. I'm not disregarding that at all. It is pretty bad, but like comparing to what our experience, us being an expat, like a Filipino American, this is the way how I like it.
Yeah.
This is the way how I like it, man.
Yeah. And then there's something to be said though that like we can't deny the fact that BGC is totally a bubble.
Yeah.
But that's the thing though, is because it's a bubble, it's kind of like it makes for a nice home base.
Mhm.
Because expats, we sometimes we need strong Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
We want to make sure that we're safe when we walk around. You know, so little things like this. But then you still get to experience Philippine culture. The people here, they're still so friendly, so kind.
Yeah.
It's like very
It's
accommodating,
very-
very hospitable. And then you
It
can
is
go
very-
out. You recently took a trip out to Palawan, right?
Right.
So it's like it's a home base in BGC, but you get to still experience the natural beauties and authentic Philippines.
Right.
Just a flight out,
Yeah.
or even a quick drive out.
You know, from BGC to the airport, it's less than an hour, less than 30 minutes.
Yeah, less than
anything.
30 minutes.
So you can just get a plane ticket that's less than what, $75.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you're just right there.
How much was your plane ticket to Palawan?
It was probably about there,
Yeah.
about $75 or maybe $100, which is, for me, it's not that bad.
Nice.
And then next thing you know, an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours, you're by the beach.
Yeah,
There you go. You
Wow.
can't beat that.
yeah,
You can't beat that at all.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just love it. Love it here in BGC.
Mm-hmm.
My wife said the same thing.
Nice.
Like how she really feels safe over here.
Mm-hmm.
With her experience, that the whole safety experience. This is right. This is it. Like this
Yeah.
is it.
Same. I could say the same exact thing. I talk so highly about this city to the point where maybe I feel like maybe I go a little overboard sometimes, because it's to the point where a lot of like guys think that I'm paid off by the city to talk about this. I'm not. But it's just that it's such an ideal lifestyle setup to have the Western conveniences that you get in the States, but you have the safety aspect here, and you still have the aspect of authentic Philippines just outside your doorstep, pretty much.
And by all means, it's not like only BGC is the only safe city here in the Philippines. I mean, you got Davao, you got Cebu.
Yeah.
Cebu is like they're doing a lot of good stuff over there in Cebu.
Oh, for sure.
And that's only a plane ride. Like it's just right there, maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours.
Yeah, I think Davao is one of the safest places in the Philippines, right? These days. And then Cebu City, it's like it's rapidly advancing.
Yes.
A lot.
Yes.
IT Park.
Yes.
The main areas of Cebu City. So yeah, I mean, by all means, there's other places other than BGC. But in my taste and taste of all my viewers, I think we'd say like it's the best place to be.
This is a good base
Yeah.
to have. Like if you're, an expat, or if maybe you're just trying to have a vacation, this is a good base to have.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I highly suggest to get an Airbnb. Maybe spend two weeks over here and just explore.
There's one thing that I know is going around in the minds of everyone watching. It's you don't have to give an exact figure, but we're all curious about the park range that you paid for your 1-bedroom place in BGC.
In dollars?
In dollars.
$200,000.
$200,000. Yeah, the thing is, like, I think property prices is pretty high up here.
Steep. Yeah.
It's steep.
Very oh yeah.
So was it worth it for you? Would you say?
Like for me,
Yeah.
one thing that I regret is that I should have bought it a decade ago.
I think
that's one thing. Like as soon as I had that feeling of like when I first visited this place, yeah, in BGC. I should have bought.
Yeah.
I should have bought.
So you knew about BGC 10 years ago?
Yeah,
Damn.
2016, man.
Yeah.
2016. It's just, I should have.
Yeah.
I should have.
I think we all could say like that. We all,
should have. Yeah.
because to be fair though, 10 years ago BGC was not nearly as developed as now. So like, for example, I know a lot of my subscribers, they had an opportunity to buy in like Eastwood in Custom City, and you know, it's not the same though. It's like it's hard to honestly project where a city will end up when the Philippines starts pitching it, like these big companies like Ayala, for example.
Right.
Because, for example, if we look at New Clark City that's being developed right now, or we look at Alabang City that's being developed, Alabang Global City being developed. Yeah, Nuvali. Arca South. It's always pitched, and this is like something expats have to be very skeptical or like pay very close attention to. It's always pitched as either the next BGC or like on par with like Singapore.
Yeah.
But then sometimes, like a lot of the time, things get delayed when it comes to development in the Philippines.
Right.
Pandemic, whatever excuse it may be. And it doesn't end up as you thought it would be. BGC is one of the few places where I think it exceeded a lot of people's expectations when they were pre-buying here.
Right, and I think it's because they had a good foundation.
Yeah.
They had a good foundation. It was before everything that happened. They had a really good foundation here.
It was formerly an American military base.
It is? Yeah, it was. Yeah.
And you see how westernized it is now.
Yeah.
So $200,000.
Yeah.
Not cheap by any means. No.
Actually, I want to say it is pretty cheap.
You think so?
I would say it is pretty cheap compared to a house in California.
That's
like a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, a house in California, Northern California. I was looking at Zillow or one of the real estate platform. And I was looking about like my neighborhood. I was all like, wow, okay. Yeah. My condo is definitely,
what's around like the average price for
600,000. 600,000.
Northern California.
And then, and that's like 1970s. Year 1970s it was built.
Dang. So it is quite affordable compared to even like Cali.
Yeah.
Is this suburban, this area in Cali?
Yeah. Yes.
Wow. 600,000.
Yeah.
Dang.
And there's houses that you can probably sell. That was like probably built in 1990s, like probably 1 million.
Wow.
2,000, probably 1 million, 1.5 million, 1.3 million.
That's crazy.
That's how it is. And correct me if I'm wrong on this one. You can actually Google it. Go through the whole real estate platform that they have on Google and stuff like that. And please, like, correct me, because I just looked at it a month ago and I was like, ooh, wow. Not only that, the mortgage, or what is it? The mortgage thing. What do you call this? The loan. Yeah. It's pretty high.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's pretty high over there.
Wow.
In California. So
interest rates. Yeah. I mean, one thing I've talked about in the past is that I feel like property prices in Manila are overpriced. But like you mentioning that even in a suburban neighborhood in California, it could be upwards of $600,000. For me, I think, okay, maybe it's not as overpriced as I thought, because we can argue it's the Philippines. Everything, perception that everything should be cheap here.
Yeah.
But then again, we look at the lifestyle we have in BGC.
Man.
Everything, you get the amenities, the safety.
Exactly.
And I think it's also a matter of like supply and demand.
Right.
Because just like New York, there's limited space.
Right.
BGC, there's limited space.
Right.
So of course property prices are going to be higher.
Right.
Not to mention you're in arguably the nicest city that's developed in the country. So
for me, it's worth it.
It's worth it.
Honestly, for me, it's worth it. The amount the degree of safety that I get from here, and we always talk about safety because it is a prime reason why why we live in BGC. It's because of that. I see dogs around, like walking around. I love that. You see kids, streets are being blocked off so that kids can play.
Right.
You don't see that anywhere else.
Yeah.
No, you don't see that anywhere else.
Yeah. I think one of the best things about BGC also, and you're newly married, congratulations.
Thank you.
Is that it's a great place to even start a family here.
Yes.
Yeah. Have you ever considered, like, do you think you'll, I mean, you're splitting time between Middle East and here, but
Right.
do you think you'll eventually raise a family in the Philippines?
Eventually, probably in the future, but not right now. My wife and I have a lot of like projects to do.
Oh, yeah.
And we have a lot of things that we need to finish up and needs to get done. So definitely not anytime soon.
Okay.
In the future, yeah, sure, why not?
Yeah.
I'm open to it.
Yeah. Because, I mean, if you come here, super family friendly.
Yeah.
And like you said, streets being blocked off every weekend. High Street, the center of BGC is blocked off to go to make a market, for a marketplace and everything like that. Very cool.
We went to a street food. Yeah. It's by they just opened the little monsters.
Gentle Monsters.
Yeah, something like
in the
that.
corner of One Bonifacio.
Man, it's awesome.
Yeah.
It was awesome, and it was very random too.
Yeah.
And we just turned around the corner, and I was like, "What is this? Like, what's going on?"
It's like being in Manhattan.
Yeah.
Right. You see kind of stuff like that. That's like for context, guys. We're talking about Gentle Monster. It's like a new fashion store that was opened up in One Bonifacio High Street, the center of BGC, and you go there. This giant like guy sculpture statue in the middle of the
sitting
store.
there.
It kind of reminds me of like a Manhattan type of like artsy type of trendy place, right? Yeah. But anyways,
actually, here in BGC, that reminds me of. I think I mentioned to you that I live in New York for about 6-7 months.
Yeah.
So it reminded me a lot about New York.
New York.
High, tall rise.
Yeah.
Buildings, except, it's very safe over here.
Yeah.
New York is just like,
yeah.
It's crazy. I love how crazy it is in New York now.
Yeah.
I love the whole craziness, the subway, the whole craziness in the subway. I love it. The characters on the streets, love it. There's nothing like New York.
No.
But also there's nothing like BGC.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's nothing like BGC too.
So
I love both. Of
course.
I love both places.
What's your plans going forward with like your time in Philippines and being in the Middle East? Like what do you have planned?
So for now, I'm just gonna visit every 4 to 6 months, here in the Philippines, taking care of my condo, probably get some more space, more properties, more businesses to have. And I want to take advantage of that, being a Filipino American. Not a lot of people actually have this thought process of like, hey, invest in the Philippines. Why not?
Yeah, absolutely.
Why not?
Yeah, I recently just did a video on how the Philippines is projected by the World Bank to be one of, if not the fastest growing country.
I was watching that earlier.
Yeah,
I was watching that earlier. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it makes sense to consider investing in the Philippines.
Oh yeah.
But any other advice that you'd give to an expat that's thinking about moving to BGC? You've done it. Any advice you give to any other expat?
Just do it. Whatever it is that type of research that you're gonna do, you're gonna do it anyways. You're gonna do a type of research. You're gonna talk to the people. You're gonna talk to whatever it is or whoever it is that you want to talk to. All I suggest is just do it. experience it. Experience the good, the bad, and the worst. And it's good to have that experience.
Yeah, take it all in.
Yeah, and just experience the whole entire thing. And I believe that you have a website that can help expats to like get them started. And there's a lot more content, on YouTube and Google and stuff to like, have your research, but you can only do so much research. Just go.
Just go for
it.
Yeah.
Just go for it. Yeah. Because you might end up like me and, purchase a place in BGC that's like, man, I wish I could have done this like a decade ago.
Amazing. Well, Michael, it was a pleasure. Thanks for being on.
Thank you.
And thank you guys for watching, and we'll catch you in the next video.
Yeah.